What is up guys, it's Rohin here with a After Effects tutorial. Today I'm going to be teaching you in an intermediate tutorial of After Effects, which is basically going to go over more complicated things from my last video. If you haven't seen that video and you're new to After Effects, I would highly recommend checking it out. I'll leave a click card in the top right corner for you to click and it will direct you to that video. So if you are in After Effects and you boot up into a screen like this, you just want to you can either create a new project to follow on with this tutorial, or if you already have one that you want to apply the effects I'm teaching you in this video to, just close this window, go to File, and then go to Open Project, and then find a file that you would like, which for me is called Tutorial, which I'm going to be opening that up. So as you can see, this is the same exact video from my After Effects Basics tutorial which we used, and I'm going to be changing a few things to it. So the first thing I'm going to be teaching you how to do is something called keyframing. Keyframing is basically going to allow us to change an effect or properties of a video over time, and I'll explain how that is now. So if we go to the effects controls here in the top right corner of our project tab, you can see an effect called find edges. You can also find this effect by selecting your video, clicking this arrow, then going to effects, find edges, and then expand that arrow. And as you can see, we have all the controls we have from the effects that we also have up here. I'll recommend controlling your effects up here. However, if you want to keyframe them, which I'm going to teach you now, you would do it over here. Hold on, I'm just going to make my timeline a little bit bigger so you guys can see what I'm doing. So keyframing is basically going to allow us to change an effect over time. Now, if we click any of these stopwatch icons, we want to click the one which we want to change over time. So blend with original, I'm going to click this little stopwatch, and you'll notice in our timeline it's added a blue little diamond figure, as you can see here. The blue little diamond figure is a value you have changed when you're keyframing anything in your video. So now if we play our video, nothing has really happened because we haven't changed this value at all. So if we go forward, I'm just going to mute this audio for you because I know it's a bit loud. And I keyframe this. However, you can keyframe by also clicking this diamond or the stopwatch. However, if the stopwatch is already blue, then click the diamond if you want to keyframe something. Now I can now adjust this value. So I want to adjust it all the way to 100%, which I'm going to do by just sliding the slider, or you can manually type 100%. It doesn't really matter. And now, if we play the video, you can see that the effect decreases over time. So it's blending with my original video. We can keyframe any effect in our video. We can keyframe the position of our effect, the scale of it, the rotation of it, and I'm going to be teaching you how to do that now. Also, wherever you move a keyframe, it will make the effect last longer or quicker, depending on how close you are moving it to each other. So for example, I've spread out the keyframes quite a lot, so the effect will slowly decrease over time, and it will go to the value I've set on this keyframe. Just for example, if I set this value a frame after back to 0, you'll notice here now, that when I play the video, it'll go back to normal and then go back instantly because I've applied a different value on the next frame. If you would want to, you can move your keyframes by simply expanding your video, going to the effects, and make sure you click the find edges effect. Otherwise, sometimes your keyframe will look as it is a circle, which I'll show you now. They will look like this, and you will not be able to move them. So make sure you click the find edges select, and you click the expand arrow, and you click the effect that you wanted to change or move over time, and here you can see now we can actually move our keyframes. To select one normal keyframe, you can just simply highlight them by just holding left click, and this little box will appear and you can select multiple keyframes. You can then move these keyframes to different positions. So now, as you can see, the effect is now fully active. However, as soon as it gets to this keyframe, it degrades. And I can move individual keyframes. So if I move this keyframe quite closer to here, you know the effect will actually last a lot more quicker. So look. So if I show you here, I've now moved the I'm going to move the keyframe a lot more closer to the keyframe I was actually created at the beginning, and now the effect degrades a lot more quicker. And if I move it out a lot more away from this keyframe, you'll notice the effect will now last a lot longer and fade away a lot slower. And this is beneficial depending on what you're doing. I personally would recommend you to have quite a quick effect that would sync up with your kill. So I would normally have it, maybe that's the most amount of maximum pace I would have it. And you can't just keyframe effects, as I can said. You can go to this transform tab, which you will be under every video, and here you can keyframe the scale and things like that. I'm just going to zoom in out a bit so you can see it more clearly. So for example, I get a kill right about here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find where I get the kill in the kill feed. You can navigate frame by frame of your video, which I would recommend doing by by holding Control and left and right arrow, depending on if you want to go forwards or backwards. And here you can see I get the kill right over here. I'm going to go back one frame, and I want to set the scale to 150. I'm going to go back one frame, going to set it to 0. The reason why, set it to 100%, and the reason why we set it to 0 is so basically to 100% is so the effect will basically, the video will play normally and then it will instantly jump to 150. If we didn't have this keyframe, you'll notice that the effect will always be 150%. The scale, it'll be cropped in quite a lot, which is why we apply the keyframe. So now, as you can see, it jumps. I'm going to now go forward frames. For example, I'm going to go forward to around here, and I'm going to set the scale back to what it normally was. And if we watch the video now, you'll notice that the kill will hit a lot more harder, and it will be quite a nice effect. I'm also going to mute the audio here. So as I get the kill, my screen expands and then goes back to normal, like that. You can also do this with effects like brightness and contrast, which you can go over here. You can apply effect by going over here and typing in brightness and contrast, dragging it onto your clip. And I'm going to keyframe the brightness. You can also keyframe using the effect controls up here. However, you won't actually be able to move your keyframes, so I would still recommend just doing it the old-fashioned way by expanding each arrow, going to brightness and contrast. And here you can obviously see the keyframes are moved in around a lot more clearer. So I'm going to find the frame where I get the kill, which is right here. I'm going to maybe set the brightness to 100. I'm going to go forward frames, right where the scale is back to normal, which is over here, and I'll set it back to 0. And now, as you can see, my kill looks a lot more better, as there's a flash and the screen expands and comes back in. And this effect of the screen coming zooming in and then coming back to normal is called a screen pump. I'll show you how to do better versions of screen pumps in a different tutorial. However, for now, this looks good, and it's basically the main thing I'm going to be teaching you in this tutorial. The next thing I'm going to be teaching you to do is something called marking. Marking is very useful when you have music in your montages, which I'm assuming most of you do. So you can go ahead and import some music by right-clicking in the project panel, import file, and navigating to your music. I'm just going to find any old music, and I'm going to drag it obviously into my timeline. And now the music will have a green bar because it is an audio file. Video files have blue bars, solids have red, and audio files have green bars, as you can see. So I'm actually going to turn the volume down on my video, which you can do by going to audio, by expanding this arrow on your MP3 file or whatever audio file is. Go to audio, and I'm not going to be keyframing the audio levels. as I don't want it to change over time. I just want it to always maintain a level. I'm just going to drag it down slightly. So now, as you can see, the audio will play. And the reason I want to show you how to import audio is I want to show you something called marking. So marking is basically highlighting key parts of your song where maybe the beat drops or something happens in your song, and I'm going to be showing you how to do marking. If you have an asterisk key on your numpad, which I'm assuming most of you do, asterisk key is like the little star on the right of your keyboard on your numpad. If you don't have an asterisk key because you don't have a numpad, you can go to edit and then go to preferences, and then you can also go to, don't go preferences, go to keyboard shortcuts. And then you can obviously bind any key you want here. So I'm going to play this video, and as I am playing it, on key parts of the video, I'm going to click my asterisk key, which is going to basically add something called a marker. I'll show you what that is now. I'll mark a few times of my video right now. And what I've done here is I've added something called a marker, as I said before, to different parts of my audio. This doesn't change how it's played, it's just a little visual representation of maybe where he says a different word, or maybe when the bass drops. So here I have a marker when the bass drops. So as you're listening to the song, watch my little red line which will play. It will go over this marker and a beat drop will happen, which I'll play now. Sorry, the beat drop happens here, but you can see that the red line will go over this marker and it will play the beat drop. And the reason you'll maybe like that is because you can actually add different effects onto the beat, which I'm going to be showing you to do now. You probably know how to add different effects. You can obviously keyframe the effect, you can go forward a frame, you can then adjust the effect to how much you like it. I'm just going to go crazy with my effects just because why not. And then I'm going to go forward frames. I'm going to then reset the effect to its default values, or you can even change it to a different value, or you can really just experiment and play around with it. It's obviously going to look different for each person, but I would highly recommend you experiment with this for yourself. So here, this keyframe will make the brightness 0, and then over time, this keyframe will make the brightness 108. This keyframe will make the contrast 0, and then over time it will obviously increase. And I'm going to play what that will look like now. You can see that was a really nice flash as my beat drop played. And I would recommend before editing you do this to your whole of your song, because it's a lot easier to sync up your kills and things like that. I'll be showing you how to sync up kills and stuff in my next tutorial, which I'll hopefully be releasing. If I have released that tutorial, I'll post a video card on the top right for you guys to click on. And yeah, also remember always to save your work by clicking Ctrl S. And honestly, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I'm going to be playing what I have made and what you can make using my tutorial. The effect plays normally, then it degrades over time. It doesn't degrade instantly. My text appears, which we obviously saw in my last tutorial. And then that was that almost screen flicker as the beat drop happened. Honestly, you wouldn't really do just a random screen flicker. You would honestly maybe do it to a single kill or something. However, because I didn't really get a kill because I'm bad at the game, I just synced it to my video, which still is effective in some cases. And as you can see, when I did actually get a kill, because I'm actually decent, the screen expanded, the brightness increased, and then over time it degraded. And we did that with something called keyframing in After Effects. If you did enjoy the tutorial, make sure you subscribe, and hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.